Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to make a video. I did write this out because I am very scatterbrained right now. What I read, you will understand why I'm so scatterbrained and why I'm having to write this out. I'm going to read what I wrote. Hey, everyone. I'm not going to lie. These last 2 weeks have been some of the hardest weeks of my life. And making the connection between my abusive ex, Michael, and Jeff has honestly made it even harder. Now, I'm going to be talking about two Michaels in this. There's Michael, my ex, and there's Michael, my Jeff's stepson, okay? Understand that. I want to explain why this has affected me so deeply because I don't think people fully understand what this has brought back up for me. When I first moved here to Augusta to live with Connor, it took me 2 years after moving here, 3 years after Michael and I ended our relationship, my ex, Michael, for me to finally stop having nightmares every single night. And when I say nightmares, I need people to understand what I mean. I'm not talking about waking up a little scared, taking a deep breath, and going on with your day. I'm talking about waking up screaming, crying, panicking. I would wake up and have to physically walk through our home, reminding myself that Michael, my ex, couldn't hurt me anymore, that I was safe, that I was in reality and not back in that situation. Connor helped me feel safe for the first time in my life. He helped me heal. But after what happened with Jeff and his stepson, Michael, I am back in that place again. I'm waking up screaming and crying, trying to remind myself that this is a dream and that I'm safe. That this isn't, that what I was, the nightmare was a dream, and that this is reality, and that I'm safe. And since realizing the similarities between Michael, my ex, and Jeff, it has become more frequent and more intense. I had 3 just this last time trying to sleep. I had 3 in a row, back after back after back, waking up from a nightmare, going back to sleep, waking up from another nightmare, going to sleep, waking up screaming and crying, and now I'm awake. Connor and I are now having to start from the beginning again, just like we did when I first moved here, reminding me that I am safe, that I am loved, and that nobody has the right to hurt me. And that feeling is devastating because imagine working so hard to take 10 steps forward in your healing only to feel like you have been pushed 30 steps backward. For the last week especially, I've woken up over and over again screaming, crying, and completely panic. Jeff really did some damage. And the worst part is, it wasn't like he didn't know. I told him over and over again. Connor also told him over and over again. I told him that waking me up screaming every day and yelling in my face was something I could not handle. I told him that was a boundary. For 3 months, I poured my heart out to Jeff. I told him parts of my past that I've barely told anyone besides Connor. I trusted him, and then I was put in a situation where I couldn't win. I couldn't sleep in my car because Jeff would come outside and yell at me that I was making the neighborhood trashy. But I couldn't sleep inside because he would wake us up yelling, giving us what felt like a Cinderella's list of chores. I was damned if I did and damned if I didn't. And there is a reason I tell people not to yell at me. There is a reason that is a boundary for me. I still cannot understand someone in their 50s cannot sit down and have an adult conversation without screaming at another person. You want to have hard conversations? Fine. I will have them. But you are going to respect me. You are going to respect my boundaries, and you are not going to scream in my face. Because without respect, the conversation is pointless. I truly don't ask people for much. I really don't. I don't think it is unreasonable to expect people to speak to me like a grown adult and not abuse me. That should be the bare minimum. Jeff told me about his past. He told me how angry he used to be. He told me he had spent years in therapy. And as someone who has been in therapy since I was 7 years old, I struggle to understand how someone can spend years working on themselves, but still act like the exact person they claim they used to be. Because that anger was still there. And Michael, his stepson, even described it to Connor and me. Michael would say things like, Jeff's just an asshole, or that's just Jeff. No, absolutely not. That is how people excuse toxic and abusive behavior. That is how people allow it to continue. And a person's personality is not an excuse to hurt people. If it quacks like a duck and looks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. Jeff looked like an abuser, Jeff acted like an abuser, and Jeff abused me. I also need people to understand something about me. I have not only personally experienced mental health struggles, I have studied them. I completed 3 years of psychology. I understand trauma. I understand patterns. I understand behavior. I know more than people give me credit for. Right now, I need people to be patient with me. I need people to understand that I'm doing the best I can with what I have been through. And honestly, people should be more grateful that I am not who I used to be, because this version of me is healed in ways the old version of me never was. 10 years ago, I would have handled things very differently. I have worked hard to become someone who sets boundaries, someone who speaks up, someone who refuses to accept being mistreated. So it hurts when people call me toxic, because I am finally standing up for myself. I am trying to cope with being hurt and abused by people who told me I could trust them. People who made themselves look like the victims while ignoring the damage they caused. Right now, I need grace. I need patience. I need understanding, because I have spent so much of my life giving grace to other people while they continued hurting me. I am asking for that same grace in return. I am healing. I am processing. I am rebuilding, and I'm doing the best I can. You'll have a blessed day.